Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We have some really interesting news today because Palantir has officially launched their attempt to actually create a developer community around their products. Now, before we get into this, I want to give a big shout out to Codestrap, who is a YouTuber on this platform who's really shed a light on a lot of the internal technical elements of Palantir Foundry. Not only because he's had some experience working with it, but because he is a technical person, he is a technical engineer, and he really understands the space. He understands the moat of Palantir from a true software perspective more than a lot of people I know. I'm trying to get him on the channel. We'll see if we can get an interview with him. But he was someone who was really talking about this probably like a month ago as he started doing more public interviews on YouTube. And his whole argument, and I'll leave his channel in the description so you can check him out. His whole thesis was kind of like, look, Palantir is amazing. The software is amazing. The potential for the software is like exponential. But as of now, softwares don't start to scale at the level of like an AWS until you have an internal team of people at a company campaigning for it. So for example, right now Palantir goes to these C-suite executives, they spend a couple months and they try to get them to believe that there is a problem and this problem needs to be solved and that they can sell them the solution to this problem. Now, because Palantir has been growing so far 40% year over year, they have not disappointed in matching that challenge to be able to convince whether it's governments, commercial clients, whatever it may be, that they do need this product. But the easiest way to get people to buy into a product is if the people at the company say that they need the product. So like if you're working at a company and you're paying these, engineers, let's say it's a software company, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're like, hey, can we buy this little service that costs like $10,000 a month to make our lives more easier? You're probably going to do it because they're going to be more productive. If they become more productive, the company makes more revenue, everything gets better. If they say, hey, we need this new software that's going to completely overhaul the entirety of our organization, but we really do think it'll make us different and it's going to cost a little money, you're going to think twice, right? Because it's a lot of money and you have to pay a lot and there's a lot of changes. But that means for a substantial type of product for that to be implemented into your company, the people campaigning for that product to be implemented should be the people that will use the product. Those people shouldn't be the people that are going to need to be convinced to use the product. In order for that to happen, and I think when that happens across thousands and thousands of companies, really across the world, where developers are saying, hey, we want to use this product over this product, there needs to be a developer community within Palantir Foundry. What does a developer community mean? In my opinion, a community is simply a group of people that are able to exchange ideas, and as they're able to exchange ideas, these ideas are then able to evolve and become stronger and stronger. You're able to get community feedback on these ideas. You're able to test hypotheses. All of these things interflow with each other within a community, which makes it much more easier for the community to grow and much more stronger in terms of the quality of content that community creates internally and externally. A developer community for Palantir would mean that there are actual models and simulations of what does Foundry look like. People can Google and YouTube videos about looking at Palantir because as of now, it's kind of hard to find what the actual software looks like because it feels like it's so secretive. Palantir just launched a video about what it means to build with Palantir developers. It's 54 seconds. You should really watch it. I'm going to play it right now. I'll be back in a minute.
Every day, thousands of developers out there are pushing code to build data pipelines, applications, and interconnecting their data within Foundry. So we're proud to announce Palantir Developers, a hub where you can come skill up and increase your impact within Foundry. For this, we've asked Palantirians across the world to share their screens and show you how things get done firsthand within Foundry. Subscribe to this channel to get hands-on insights into the different tools behind Palantir Foundry.
So as you can see in that video, he says that he wants people to share their screen across the world, meaning to make videos showing their screen about how Palantir works firsthand. And he's asking you to subscribe to that channel because if you subscribe to the Palantir Developers channel, you'll be able to get real-time updates and really see what these modules look like in Palantir Foundry. This is a phenomenal thing because when it comes to building a community, you need content to build a community. I mean, let's just take the Palantir YouTube community, for example. If we didn't have some of the main players in the YouTube community creating content and building an audience, it would be very difficult for this to be called a community because because there's not that many people coming. There's not that much engagement. There's not that much comment interaction. Then you go to Twitter. Twitter follows a lot of the YouTube community. So it's like this synchronous web of people that believe in the same ideas, that are able to test ideas, that are able to, show updates. Oh, hey, I found this job posting for Palantir at CVS. Why do you think they're doing this? And then you connect the dots here. And then you're able to come up with all of these more hypotheses that potentially influence how you think about the company that you're investing in when it comes to the Palantir community. Well, that community is very similar to, or the Palantir investing community. That community is very similar to a lot of other communities online. And if a Palantir developer community started to exist, real technical people who are working at the big companies that are doing the complex tasks, that are working with databases and the ontological relationship within those databases to create meaningful products for businesses, to actually create the modern operating system for the enterprise, they would be able to see what's going on in Palantir Foundry. They would be able to sort of lift the veil off and see what this company is actually about with content that is being produced. As a result, Palantir developers putting out a video every week showing new modules of Foundry, showing new ways that people can easily understand the Foundry platform. Those people are not only going to try to work with Palantir Foundry, be at least a little bit more optimistic and excited to work with Palantir Foundry, they will likely create their own forms of content to work with Palantir Foundry. And Codestrap actually just did a video about this the other day where he was talking about on Stack Overflow, which is one of the biggest technology blogs communities in the world, where people post a ton of different stuff, get a lot of advice when it comes to coding. People were talking about specific advice and specific questions in relationship to Foundry. So Codestrap's entire thesis, and I'm giving all credit to him because he literally nailed it. I think yesterday he made a video about Palantir developer community starting, and today we get an entire video. So that's just like amazing, amazing stuff. His whole thesis is we need developers that are in the community actively asking more questions, actively evangelizing the product of Palantir Foundry, and actively playing a role in understanding how potentially strong this product could be. Codestrap is one of the most technical people that I've seen, and he's creating a lot of content on YouTube on Palantir from the technical side because he believes in the true potential of the product, given he's actually been able to like see it a little bit. And you need more people like him that have been actually able to see the product in order to be able to come to a conclusion for their decision making for why the product is valuable in the first place. So what does this mean for Palantir from a business perspective? Number one, this is phenomenal from a business perspective because in order for them to grow the business in a way that they don't need to constantly be doing the sales and marketing, they need a group of people, a developer community actually evangelizing the product within the clients that they go to. It is much easier to sell the product to a client if a client already has a bunch of their engineers asking if they can get the product, right? Like the life cycle of it just becomes more easier. So from a sales and marketing perspective, I think that's incredibly important for them to be able to get this developer community started. Number two, it demystifies a lot of Palantir's business. They've done I don't want to say decent job because I'm giving them too much credit, but they've done some job of putting out content out into the world, especially with this whole Ross Gerber stuff. They were like, I'm doing more work than Palantir, for quite frankly, to show people why the Ross Gerber stuff is nonsense. But they released some articles and they tried to, but like, I don't think Palantir understands distribution at scale because not many big companies understand distribution at scale, at least when it comes to social media and marketing and like content. So like, when people say they're a company that sells data, a lot of people still agree that. I was talking to my friend the other day and he thinks they're just a company that sells data to the CIA. And it's like, I can't blame him. He just doesn't have a real perception. He hasn't done a lot of analysis of the company. This Palantir developer stuff, I think, is going to demystify a lot of the negative narratives that exist with Palantir, because when you're looking at the software in real time, when you're actually able to see content coming from the company itself about what the Palantir Foundry software looks like, you just have a much better sense of the software, and you are much less inclined to think, oh, this is such a secret company. They're hiding their software. They're not putting out enough content about their software because they are selling data. Like that stuff starts to go away a little bit. Number three, the most important thing I believe about this. I'm going to link a video in the description of a video I did around end of December, or maybe it was a little bit early January, of Palantir launching their certification program. Now, their certification program was incredibly important because AWS, which is what Sham Shankar, the CEO of Palantir, literally said, and I'm going to do a reaction to this, analyzing and breaking down his thoughts a week ago on another interview, that Palantir can be the AWS for the next generation of developers, just like AWS was AWS for this generation of developers from 2010, 2020. So they really think that that Foundry can be that next generation of an operating system for developers. AWS has a certification program, and if you're certified in AWS, it's incredibly valuable because you can go to any company. They're going to be like, hey, are you certified in AWS? Because we work with AWS, because AWS does $71 billion in revenue per year. So a lot of companies work with AWS. And then you can show them that you are skilled in that specific skill set, and you're more likely to get the job. The result of a certification program is that it normalizes the software. And when the software is normalized, there is a very high potential for that software to then be integrated into many, many more organizations. Because then companies can say, hey, we need you to be certified via this certification program in Palantir Foundry because we're thinking of using Foundry, or we already use Foundry. So if you're certified, it makes the hiring process a lot more easier. When more developers are certified, more companies in turn think that, oh, we want the best, certified people. We want the best of the best software. So let's try implementing Foundry if all the newest graduates of these top engineering schools are getting certified in Palantir Foundry, which is basically what happened with AWS. The AWS beat Google Cloud and Microsoft Azure, which are their two major competitors, towards launching this universal certification program, which meant more engineers were skilled in AWS. And if you're a company that's using, Google or Microsoft, and a lot of the engineers are working with AWS, you might have to make a difficult decision. I have my startup myself, and our startup, when I was talking to my co-founder a year ago as we began to start it, he immediately said, we're going to use AWS because that's the best thing that I know how to use, and it's the best version of actually creating an entire system. So that's what happened. Palantir Foundry being able to be that normalized operating system for data analytics, just like AWS was for cloud computing, can actually start propelling the business to new heights. Because now that certification program starts going universal, now more and more developers want to be certified. Now more and more companies want to hire people that are certified. Now more and more companies are launching these certification programs internally so their current developers can start to get certified. It's just a network effect, a flywheel effect that launches the company into new markets and new enterprises without them actively having to do it, which is what I believe Codestrap's entire thesis was for why we need a developer community that can evangelize the product, get people to care about the product, get more people to know about the technical elements of the product, demystify the myths around the product, and actually be able to launch this product to a new level, to new customers, to new markets. This is really exciting. I know I said I wasn't going to buy some Palantir before earnings. Full transparency on the channel, I bought about 80 shares today, just because it's not really about buying it before earnings and getting in at 13. I think I bought it at 13.80. It was more so that when I saw this news, I was like, it convinced me as a personal shareholder that they're really trying to make an attempt and maybe they saw the social media content, because a lot of us on social media, I didn't make any videos on this, but I know a lot of people did, were talking about a developer community. And because a lot of people were talking about it, I would assume they're looking at it. Now, maybe they had this stuff ready to go and they were planning to launch it, but it just feels like we're being listened to as a community because they're doing stuff that literally we know they need to do. So that to me was a vote of confidence. And I was like, all right, I'll put another $1,100 in today because I thought I was really happy about that. They also they also extended their partnership with Ferrari. I'll do another video covering that. But some exciting stuff. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts on Palantir developers community and this launch. Looking forward to reading comments. My name is Mitt. I'll see you in the next one.